Now, after another insane album rollout, Kanye West has shocked the world as he just released his second collab album with Ty Dolla with Vultures 2. And considering the fact that every single other Kanye West sequel album has been scrapped in the past before being finished, and the fact that Kanye has seemed to disappear again after being super active in the first half of 2024, it looked like this record was never going to see the light of day, but in typical Kanye fashion, when the world expected it least, Ye and Dolla dropped this album at 4 a.m. on a Saturday and off rip. As a result of this crazy rollout, the record has already entered the music world in a way that most other projects don't, and when it comes to the actual album, it's about just as insane as the story of how we actually got it. Now, before we can look further into this LP and really unpack it for what it is, it's important to put into perspective where Kanye is at right now in his career. Now, of course, this February, Ye released Vultures 1, which was a massive moment in the rap world that turned a lot of heads and found Kanye a ton of success. But as this album has went on to exist in the rap world beyond the initial hype, it seems like a lot of people feel that it hasn't aged the best, and with Kanye trying to insert himself into the Kendrick and Drake beef with his remix of Like That, people have really started to make fun of Kanye West at this point in his career and run around with the idea that he is washed up. So with this album, Vultures 2 is Ye's chance to show the world that despite what people have been saying, he is still one of the premier talents in hip-hop in terms of the pure quality of the albums they are putting out, and when it comes to fulfilling this goal, Vultures 2 has ended up being even more divisive than the first album, which to Kanye and the project's defense is partially because compared to Vultures 1, the album inherently swings a lot higher than the first project ever did, as where Vultures 1 almost felt like Kanye was putting himself in a box for the most part, as all he really did was talk about partying and women. Ye actually does have lyrical performances here that offer a lot more, and this is because beyond just tracks that were made in this Vultures era with Ye and Ty, Kanye has pulled unreleased material from projects like Yandhi and Donda to be finished for this album, and with Kanye's massive catalog of unreleased music, I gotta hand it to him for doing this, because with how much great material he has sitting around, he should be leaning into them and giving us these great tracks that never saw the light of day in years past. But at the same time, if Ye is gonna do this, he needs to be aware of the fact that the half-baked versions of cuts are not gonna sell themselves, because despite Kanye taking some of his best unreleased material and putting it on this very album, because he didn't actualize these moments and put them in a state of completion, he fumbles some golden opportunities here. Take the track 530, which people were beyond excited about that Kanye decided to put on this project. From the opulent soul chops to Kanye's emotionality, this has all of the makings to be the best Ye song from either of these projects, but where the first half of the track is perfect and peak Kanye West. On the back end of the track, Ye just starts inaudibly mumbling, and you realize that this is just a demo that he never finished. And things like this make you wonder why he put a song out if it was left in a state like this. I mean, it's still a really good track because the first half is phenomenal, but it is noticeably not finished, and this is just really frustrating and makes us really have to sit back and think what Kanye was even up to when he delayed this album time and time again. And now this problem is not just exclusive to this one track, because throughout the rest of the LP, there are moments that show that quality control was just thrown out the window, and it happens in the most random and unnecessary ways, like on the track Lifestyle, which is otherwise a solid cut where we get another fantastic verse from Lil Wayne filled with some memorable punchlines and quotables. The first half of this song from Wayne and Ty is super solid, but then there is this detached outro on the back end of the song for 2 whole minutes from Kanye, which in of itself is actually compelling because we hear Ye sound like he is back in the Donda era of his career in terms of the soul he is singing with, and with his emphasis on family in the verse, but the problem is, this is the exact same song as the cut before Husband, just spliced into the end of this, and it's just a confusing moment that makes you question what you just heard. Because to literally copy and paste another song that's already on the album, it's just one of the strangest choices I have seen on any album all year, and it just comes off as super redundant and jarring, and what's most frustrating about getting things like these wrong is that the album does get a lot more of the important stuff right compared to Vultures 1. As for all of the weaknesses you can point out on this record, you can't deny that Kanye still has that magic touch in him, because you still do get those moments that capture this sensation that only few other artists even understand how to evoke, which we especially see on the intro track Slide, which is this cinematic and grandiose cut that is one of the best Kanye has released on either Vultures records with ease, or on River with Young Thug, which is another beautiful cut that will send you into another dimension, but it feels like Kanye is limiting himself from giving us as many of these peak moments that he could have, as he seems to just be cutting corners that he never did in the past here. The moment that really shows this off is the cut Fried, which once again features Ye using the Inner Milan Ultras, which were the same group of people who did the chanting on tracks like Carnival and on the Like That remix. And while this song musically is not inherently bad, this has just never been something he has done, as he's always relied on keeping the magic of his music going by discovering what's new to create, and with a moment like this, it's just showing a change in Kanye's creative process and effort level as a whole, which is just purely disappointing. Now, one of the problems with Vultures 1 were the lyrics coming from Kanye's mouth, which were so superficial and hyper-fixated on things that he swore off just a few years before this, and on Vultures 2. Kanye has toned this down a little bit, which definitely helps give his performance here a more human component to it, which is nice to see, and even when he is focusing on the superficial things, the songs actually end up being pretty good bangers, like the Future team-up Promotion, and the song Dead, which has Future again on it and Lil Durk. And speaking of collaborators on this album, this is another aspect where Kanye is still great in, because he picks the perfect guest to appear on this album, and there is not a single person who delivers a bad performance here. Everything Future touches on this album turns to gold. Field Trip has great performances from Playboi Carti, Don Toliver, and even Kodak Black, but out of all of the features on this album, the best has to be Lil Baby on Forever Rolling, as he delivers one of his best performances in years on this cut, as Ye is able to bring out this passion in Baby that we haven't been able to feel from him in years, and with Ye being able to bring out the best out of everybody he works with, it is showing us that despite everything wrong with this album, Kanye can still be the visionary he has always been seen as, but it seems like he just doesn't want to be through a good portion of this album and would rather take lazy shortcuts. Now, out of everything on this album, the final 3-track run on the project really puts into perspective just how frustrating it is, because with this Lil Baby collab Forever Rolling, we get a great song where Lil Baby and Ye trade these charged up verses of sheer lyrical force, but then with the cut Sky City, despite this song having all the pieces in place to be a beautiful cut that is in line with Donda tracks like No Child Left Behind and Come to Life. Ye ruins the song by using these AI deepfakes of his voice, which create these lifeless and robotic moments that derail the entire track, and out of all of the uses for AI, Kanye deepfaking his own voice is the most confusing thing that's happened in music all year, and really makes you question what was going on that he could not just get in the booth and re-record his vocals for. And now in this 3-track run with the final song My Soul, we leave the album with an inspiring and soulful cut where Ye, Ty, and Ty's brother TC all leave some strong emotions out there for people to connect with, but with the mixing on this track, which is not good whatsoever. The moment is dampered and it's not able to carry the emotional weight it was supposed to. And now in the greater sense, when we look at the entirety of Vultures 2, the frustrating moments and rapid highs and lows really describe what this album represents as a whole. Kanye West is not a bad artist, and even more than on the first record, he is still showing off his greatness through so many of the songs on this album, which still feature production like nobody else can replicate, and with verses here that once again show Kanye's human side. We also see that he can still be a great rapper when he wants to, but the problem with this album is that beyond the flashy features and unmatched talent level of Ye, the ball was just dropped on things that on a fundamental level of making music, all albums need to have. From bad mixing, to some songs being released literally in the demo phase, to deepfake vocals, to beats that were overcooked. So many of what should have been the simple things on this album were not even considered, and because of this, the body of work that we have received, even for recent Kanye standards, where things are always done so last minute, feels so poorly made, and this just makes Vultures 2 feel very incomplete, which is sad. I mean, with tracks like Forever Rollin' and 530, I think we can all see that with the right creative discipline, Kanye West still could give us albums that are as good as Donda, Kids See Ghosts, and maybe even The Life of Pablo, but at this point, with his effort level here just showing that he is not taking the proper steps to make this album a one-of-a-kind musical experience like all of his other albums for 20 years were. As it stands, Vultures 2 is a record with great songs and great moments, but it just does not reach the heights it should have, and because of this, for the first time in his career, people are looking at Kanye West as an artist who is not capable of releasing an album that can change everything about music as we know it, and this is sad because we all see beyond the problems of this record, that the guy is still there, but unless he decides to start caring a lot more and apply his skill level, which is really one of a kind and only comes once in a generation, unfortunately, this is the way things are gonna be. So with all that said, let me know. What do you think of Vultures 2? This album is really like nothing else we have ever seen from Kanye West, and with its highs and lows, I'm sure everyone is going to have something super interesting to say about it. I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and if you want to see how A$AP Rocky just exposed Drake on his new song, check out the suggested video.